The action from Atlanta right after these words.
Atlanta Braves baseball, brought to you by Beechwood Aged Budweiser, for a taste you'll find in no other beer at any price. This Bud's for you. And by Aflac, covering the unexpected cost of getting well. Aflac, insuring over 38 million people worldwide.
Welcome back to Atlanta Fulton County Stadium. Don Sutton along with Pete Van Wieren. The first game back, the first of the final homestand of the years for the Braves. They have just come off of a 10-game homestand that saw them clinch the Eastern Division on the road. It is one of the most unusual events I personally have ever been a part of. The Braves played their game in Colorado, won, and boarded their charter to Cincinnati, and somewhere over the heart of Missouri at about 37,000 feet, thanks to air telephone and my partner Pete Van Wieren, we were able to find out what took place, and as the Philadelphia Phillies came up short in Montreal, the Braves did win it. It'll be the first night that the Braves have been back here in front of their home fans since the clinching. And as you might imagine, an excited crowd here in Atlanta, a standing ovation for the Braves. And the Braves are going to introduce to their fans the National League East Division Championship banner. The Braves out in front of their dugout, saluting their fans and enjoying the fireworks display and tacking another banner on the wall. But if you talk to most of the Braves, they'll tell you this is just the first of about a three-step process. The magic number in the Braves' mind now 11. But business at hand. The Mets are in town, the first of four. Time for a look at our Tylenol starting lineups. Damon Buford to lead it off. Jose Vizcaino will bat second. It's Carl Everett in the third spot. He's been doing a good job for the Mets. Jeff Kent will bat cleanup play second. Rico Brogna, he's for real and at first base and batting fifth. Todd Hundley will catch and bat sixth. It's Butch Husky. About the third or fourth shot for Husky, and seemingly he's making this one work. He'll hit seventh. Ryan Thompson eighth, and Bobby Jones will complete the batting order. Defensively, Polonia in left, Devereaux in center, Smith in right, a revamped outfield. Jones, Bowser, Giovanola, and McGriff the infield. Eddie Perez behind the plate. He is a good young catcher, and Steve Avery will make his 27th start of the year. Those are Steve's numbers. As we told you before, it has been a struggle for him. You might see him take a few extra deep breaths tonight. Steve needs a good outing. Everybody needs to have him have one. We're set to go. So is my partner, Pete Van Wieren.
Okay, thank you, Don. Hi once again, everyone. It'll be Damon Buford, Jose Vizcaino, and Carl Everett due up here in the top half of the first inning. Temperature 73 degrees at game time as Avery misses low to Buford. Ball one. Buford 236, 4 homers, 12 RBIs since coming over from the Orioles in the Bobby Bonilla deal.
Pete, I would look for Steve Avery to take just a little more time tonight. Remember, sometimes Steve wants to grab the ball and rush up there, but he's going to pace himself just a little bit more in between the pitches.
2-1 the count now on Damon Buford, son of longtime American leaguer Don Buford. Here's the 2-1 pitch, and that's high and away. Ball three, 3-1. Boy, he's got to be feeling some pressure, though, because of all the talk about Steve Avery and what his role will be, whether he'll be a starter in the playoffs or whether he'll be moved to the bullpen. That's only come up in really the last week or so.
You know what a lot of people forget is that Steve Avery came to the big leagues at a young age. Obviously, he struggled as most kids do his first year up here, but you write that off to being a rookie. It's probably the first time in his life he's ever had to work through a problem this serious, and doing it the first time is the hardest.
Here's the 3-2. He chased a bad pitch and fouled it off. Count remains full, 3 balls, 2 strikes. You have to remember about Steve Avery, for those of you that aren't aware of this, he was receiving national publicity for his baseball playing ability while still a high school player. He was on the cover of some of the baseball magazines while still in high school. He was that highly thought of. So the point you make about this maybe being the first time in his baseball career that he's had to work through such a serious situation is probably very apt.
You know what? What's so hard to is we can all sit and watch from the outside looking in. Only one guy can pitch from the inside out.
And not a good start here in the first inning as Damon Buford draws a leadoff walk.
But he made some good pitches, and he did it from a nice, comfortable delivery. He's not rushing. He's not really locking himself up as he turns back towards second base in his windup. Right now, though, here's another thing. He has been going between the slide step and his big kick stretch. Other pitchers and scouts have suggested, that I talked to her last week, that they have suggested he might ought to just stick with one or the other. That it's harder to go from one to the other consistently than it is to just stick with one.
The batter is Jose Vizcaino. He used the slide step on the first pitch. He gets a strike at the knees. This might be a ball club. The slide step is not that important to use against because the Mets do not run at all. They have 53 stolen bases as a team, and 24 of those were stolen by Brett Butler, who is now with the Dodgers.
But
so
he might
very little team speed.
He might be better off sticking with it, and I'll tell you why after the pitch.
There's the snap throw to first. Buford, who has 7 steals and 14 tries, back safely.
There is a wealth of pitching information and knowledge on this pitching staff. Steve Avery, Tom Glavine, John Smoltz is learning more about pitching. I talked to Tom Glavine about it. He says with the slide step, you force yourself to have better arm speed.
Went back to the high kick there, gets a ground ball to first. McGriff will step in the bag, has no play at second. So that works like a sacrifice bunt would have, getting a runner down to second, 1 out.
He knows a lot about pitching. He's a very quiet guy. This whole another thing that might frustrate people about this pitching staff is it's basically made up of a collection of introverts, and I don't mean introverted or can't take a microphone and won't talk, but they're more comfortable working out things inside. Anybody who is more comfortable solving his own problems inside is going to have a problem going outside to look for help.
The batter is Carl Everett, the right fielder, hitting .262. He has 12 home runs and 46 runs driven in. A lot of new faces in the Mets lineup since the last time the Braves saw him. One hopper to third. Chipper Jones looks the runner back, throws him out. 2 down. And a chance to get through this first inning, which could be very important for Steve Avery because his troubles have begun very early on in ball games lately.
Well, which comes first, a measure of success or confidence? And the worst thing that can happen to you is to have your confidence shot. So when you walk, and if you've ever pitched, anybody who pitched goes out there some nights feeling, why am I here? What the heck am I going to do next? And I'm sure Steve Avery has gone through that. And it's got to be, that guy right there sinks his whole heart. Sometimes I kid him and tell him he may put too much heart in it. It's only a job. And he laughs and goes, sure, yeah, uh-huh.
Cleanup hitter Jeff Kent batting .270 with 19 homers, 51 RBIs. He takes a strike, the count 0-1. Larry Vanover calling the balls and strikes tonight. The Mets have won 5 in a row. In fact, they have played very, very good baseball since the All-Star break. They're putting a lot of youngsters in their lineup. A lot of youngsters have been brought up and placed in the starting rotation. And the Mets right now have the identical record, as do the Montreal Expos. They're tied for 3rd in the National League East. They are 9 games under 500, but they have a chance to finish as high as 2nd in the division. And if you look at the National League since the All-Star break, look who's 2nd, to Atlanta.
And this is after the departure of Bobby Bonilla, Brett Saberhagen, and Brett Butler. This is a kind of ball club, though, Dallas Green is best with.
So the rebuilding process has really begun with the Mets. And the future does look very bright for them. The 0-2 pitch, strike 3 call. Inside corner, Kent caught looking. And a good start for Steve Avery. After the leadoff walk, he gets the next 3. We go to the bottom half of the first inning with no score.
Good inning for Avery. Now it's the Braves' turn. Here's the batting order. It's going to be Polonia leading it off. Giovannola to follow. Chipper Jones will bat 3rd. Fred McGriff, the cleanup hitter. He'll be followed by Dwight Smith. Mike Devereaux will bat 6th. Eddie Perez 7th. Jeff Blauser in the 8th spot. And completing the batting order, it's going to be Steve Avery. Defensively, the Mets, Buford in left, Thompson in center, Everett in right. Husky, Vizcaino, Kent, and Bronya make up the infield. Hundley to catch, and Bobby Jones on the mound. He's one of the best young right-handers in the league, and you see his record, but he has also been the beneficiary of some outstanding luck in his last 10 starts. A game over 500, but 6.5 runs to play with.
Luis Polonia leads off for Atlanta, batting .333 since coming over to the Braves. First pitch swinging, sends a fly ball left center field. The left fielder Buford making the catch. 1 pitch, 1 out here in the bottom half of the first.
Strange defense right there. Thompson got over and got under it, but gave way to Buford. The only thing I can think of is that Buford had his left hand over there and called for it right away. Usually the center fielder is the quarterback in the outfield.
That'll bring up Ed Giovanola getting the start at second base tonight. Still looking for his first major league hit. Those are the numbers he compiled at Richmond this year. He finished second in the International League in hitting. 0 for 6 since coming up to Atlanta. Inside corner, the count 0-1 on Giovanola. Breaking ball in the air, straightaway center. Ryan Thompson had him played perfectly. 2 down. First 2 retired quickly by Bobby Jones. Now he'll try his luck with Chipper Jones. There's trying to battle out of an 0 for 14 slump. He's down to 259 for the year. 20 homers and 76 RBIs. Chipper, Fred McGriff, the on-deck hitter, and Jeff Blauser, the shortstop, the only 3 regulars in the lineup tonight. In the air down the left field line, foul. The count 0-1.
Yeah, the best way I could describe Bobby Jones, he's obviously a much bigger guy, but, and I mean this in a very sincere, complimentary sense, he's a Greg Maddux wannabe. A similar style of pitching. He just hasn't put together the numbers yet, but his philosophy of pitching is quite similar.
Here's the 0-1, and he's ahead in the count 0-2 on Chipper.
One of the best right-handed changeups in the league. Yep, right there and out on the mound.
Here comes the 0-2 pitch. High and tight, 1 ball, 2 strikes. Two outs and the base is empty. The 1-2 on the way to Chipper Jones got him. A 1-2-3 start for Bobby Jones. We've completed 1 here in Atlanta with no score.
Atlanta Braves baseball, brought to you by AutoZone, the best parts in auto parts, and by Coca-Cola Classic.
No score as we go to the top half of inning 2. First baseman Rico Brogna leads off for the Mets and lines the first pitch in the left center field. Coming over quickly, Poloni, a diving catch in left center. Takes an extra base hit away from Rico Brogna. 1 down.
He is not well known for his defense, and this was all the more difficult because his glove hand was on the opposite side, but watch him keep his eye right on it. He leaves his feet at the right time. There are a lot of unnecessary slides and dives. That was a necessary one, and something like that, Pete, can be a real shot in the arm for Steve Avery.
That's what you were saying in the open. Needs a couple of line drives. Are going to be caught by somebody.
Now all of a sudden you can think, well, this is not going to be the tendencies to go out and looking for something to go wrong. Now some things have gone right.
Here's the catcher, Todd Hundley, having a good year. 304, 15 homers, 50 RBIs. And he takes a strike in the inside corner, 0-1. There was a time when Hundley hardly ever played as a right-hand hitter. He was platooned. Usually hit left-handed against right-handers, and somebody else would catch against lefties. But he's playing against both right now and doing well. 319 right-handed, 300 left-handed. A lot more at bats from the left side. He has 12 homers lefty and 3 homers righty. The count 0-2 on Hundley. Dallas Green, Bobby Wine looking on from the Mets dugout. A lot of speculation about Dallas Green. Will he be back? You talk to the Mets people. They think he will be. Up the middle and beyond the reach of Jeff Blauser. Base hit center field for Todd Hundley. First hit of the game for New York.
Pitching is one of the places where on the field where you really do have to be selfish sometimes to be successful. And if you're Steve Avery, the thought process right now has to be, I made a good pitch, got the result I wanted, I got a ground ball, he just happened to find a hole. Give the other guy credit and you move on. You build off of positive thoughts and positive actions.
Now third baseman Butch Husky, who finally may be living up to his potential. 3 homers, 10 RBIs since coming up from Norfolk. He had 28 home runs at AAA this year. Husky's problem in the past is he's gotten a little too husky. weight problems have held him back. Out to shallow left center field. Devereaux there for the catch. Back to first goes Hundley. 2 men are down for Ryan Thompson. Thompson 263, 7 homers. Still a lot of strikeouts. He has struck out 73 times and 240 at bats and only drawn 15 walks. So he's kind of a free swinger up there. Always has been.
Good breaking ball hitter too. If you just want to drop, and a good first pitch hitter. He likes something on that first pitch. If you just drop a breaking ball in there, it's right what he wants.
Braves have had success with high fastballs. That's what Avery tried to give him there and missed too high. Ball 1. Ryan Thompson only hitting 186 in his career against Atlanta. That caught the outside corner of the count even. 1 ball, 1 strike.
A lot of what takes place on defense is choreographed from the dugout. You saw Eddie Perez giving the throw over sign. That's 90s baseball.
1-2 the count. See if he goes up the ladder on him here.
It would be a good pitch. You have actually you have a couple of pitches you could do that. You can make the pitch a decision 2 pitches down. There's no reason to try to trick him. He hasn't adjusted. Why should you? Good call, Eddie Perez.
Here's the 1-2 on the way. Missed inside. The count even. 2 balls, 2 strikes.
Good life on Avery's fastball. Remember before when he tried to come inside, he had to overthrow so much that he would either hit the guy or he had to take velocity off.
Did he go? No, says Frank Pulley, and the count full 3-2 on Ryan Thompson.
Well, take a look. Good curveball. Starts it out in the strike zone. Almost had him fooled.
With 2 men out and the count 3-2, Hundley won't be held. Wants another breaking ball. The 3-2 on the way. Fouled it off. From a letter high fastball here, Steve, and I think you got him.
Even from just the belt up.
Here's the 3-2. Hit the ball on 1 hop to short. Blauser will throw across to first in time. That's it for the Mets. They get a base hit, nothing more. We go to the bottom half of inning 2 with no score.
Time for us to remind you that this telecast is authorized under broadcasting rights granted by the Atlanta National League Baseball Club and is intended solely for the entertainment of our audience. Any publication, rebroadcast, retransmission of the pictures or accounts of this game without the express written consent of the Atlanta National League Baseball Club is prohibited.
0-0 as we go to the bottom half of inning 2. Fred McGriff, Dwight Smith, and Mike Devereaux do up against Bobby Jones. McGriff still needs 4 homers to hit 30 for an 8th consecutive year. He'll be in the lineup probably until he does it. Breaking ball low and inside, ball 1. That just missed. 2-0. Sharply hit. Nice play on the short hop by Husky, and he throws him out. 1 down. And now Dwight Smith getting a start tonight in right field.
Something happened on that last pitch, Pete. You got to be pretty sure that you and your catcher are on the same page when you start into the windup and the sign hasn't even been given. And that's what Jones did on the last pitch. He had already rocked into the motion. Here comes the sign. Here's the pitch.
In for a strike to Dwight Smith. 0-1. Roles kind of changed for Bobby Jones on this club. He was on the staff with guys like Brett Saberhagen and Pete Harnisch. Then Harnisch got hurt. Saberhagen got traded. All of a sudden, these young pitchers, Bill Pulsifer, who's out with an injury right now, and Jason Isringhausen, Reed Cornelius, and guys like that are coming up to Bobby Jones, looking at him as the leader on the staff. He said, that's a different role for me, but one he'll gladly take. Shallow center, Ryan Thompson out there under it, and he's got it 2 down. 5 in a row set down now by Bobby Jones. Look at Kansas City in the first of a doubleheader with Minnesota. 11 runs already on the board. They've got a lot of games left with the Twins, and they're very much alive in that wild card race.
What are there, about 4 or 5 teams separated by 1 game?
Seattle's got it right now, but Kansas City, New York, and Texas all 1 game back. Here's Mike Devereaux, 294 with a homer since the Braves acquired him. There's a look at that wild card race. That one's got a real shot at being tied at the end of the year. 2-0 the count now, and Mike Devereaux. You may wonder what league presidents do to occupy their hours from 9 to 5 every day. Today, Gene Budig and Leonard Coleman spent much of their time flipping coins, determining home field advantages for about 29 different playoff possibilities. Off the end of the bat, and the count 3-1 on Devereaux.
Well, Seattle and Texas stack up in that. Maybe decided head to head because they go at each other 7 times the last couple of weeks of the season.
Here's the 3-1, high and deep to left center field. On the run is Ryan Thompson. This ball is off the wall. Devereaux heads for second. The throw comes back. He's got himself a stand-up double.
Devereaux's a good high fastball hitter. He wants this out away, but watch it come right back over the plate, right down the middle. That had to be about shoulder high. If that ball's about 2 inches lower, he hits it out of there, but it was up high enough in the strike zone that he couldn't drive it. Just got under it just a little, but hit it at the right area.
Now Eddie Perez, who realized a dream in the Cincinnati series, got the start on Friday night. At his first major league hit, it was a homer. Added a base hit after that. Bounces the first pitch to short, almost hit the runner. Vizcaino on to first. And that's all for Atlanta in the second. To leave a runner at second, we've played 2 in Atlanta. Mets nothing, Braves nothing.
Top of the third, no score yet. We talked about the American League wild card. Well, what's going on in the National League? Right now, Colorado leads the West, so L.A. second in that, and atop the National League wild card race. Looks like it's almost a 2-team race there, and throw Colorado into the mix, because whoever wins that, the other one's going to be right there, either Colorado or L.A.
All teams that used to be in the National League West. National League East, the former National League East, make it totally shut out of postseason play this year. In fact, if the National League East were in existence as it was last year, the Phillies would lead the National League East 2 games under 500. 0-1 pitch to Bobby Jones, and the count goes to 0-2. Atlanta, of course, now a member of the National League East. Didn't used to be. Fouled away, 0-2. No score, top of the third. First of 4 with the Mets. Montreal also comes in for 3 on this homestand, and the Braves head out on the road to wrap up the regular season, and also they'll start the playoffs somewhere on the road. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Outside corner, that's it for Jones. Avery has his second strikeout.
Threw him a couple of breaking balls. Actually, it's not a bad time to throw one as long as you don't get hurt with it. He sets up this, but he also, now he goes to the top of the batting order, having thrown a couple of breaking balls to the pitcher and finishing off with a good fastball.
Back to the top of the order now, Damon Buford, who walked in the first inning. Up high, ball 1. You've talked a lot, Don, about how Charlie O'Brien is a pitcher's best friend, setting a target back there. How about Eddie Perez? The target he sets pretty close to the way Charlie O'Brien does it.
Nice low target. Holds the ball still. If he moves it at all, he moves toward the strike zone. Like you see a pitch like that, a lot of catchers will either bat it down or reach out for it. You can get a pitcher a lot of strikes the steadier you are.
Foul territory, first base side. McGriff gives chase, but this one will drop out of play.
And you know what? I think umpires know the catchers that are smooth and easy. It makes their job easier. You're going to get more calls than you are if you're bouncing all over back there, because an umpire can't settle in one spot and work on the strike zone. And if you're a catcher that moves to a spot, catches it and frames it, you're going to extend that strike zone for your pitcher.
Here's the 1-2 pitch on the way. A little nubber down toward third. Chipper Jones over to first. And that's out number 2. Here in the top half of the third.
There are a lot of things different that are exciting for the Braves and for Steve Avery, but you mentioned it earlier on a pitch to Ryan Thompson. The big difference is when he comes inside. He's getting it there, and he's getting it there with some giddy up on it. Some of the scouts had told us he was 4 or 5 miles an hour off, but now he's locating it in there without overthrowing it and with good life.
Here's Vizcaino, grounded out to first. His first time up, he takes a strike. The reason I brought up Eddie Perez, I found it very interesting that the very day after Eddie Perez had caught his first major league game as a starter, you and I already had scouts inquiring about what are the Braves' plans for Eddie Perez. Very highly thought of young catcher. Fouled back 0-2.
And I don't think he's going to embarrass you. He's a good low ball hitter. I don't think Eddie is going to embarrass you as a hitter either. Boy, have we seen.
Speaking of scouts, get in line to pick up your credentials if you're a scout attending a Braves game these days. Foul away, still 0-2. Among those in attendance, a former Braves manager, Eddie Haas. There's Eddie with the glasses. Now with the Boston Red Sox. One ball, 2 strikes.
I had one of my most entertaining days up in Cincinnati, sitting around with Fred McAllister and Uncle Huey. Great stories.
2-2 pitch on the way. Got him. Another good inning for Steve Avery. He strikes out 2 in the inning, has 3 strikeouts on the night, and has pitched very effectively over the first 3 innings. We go to the bottom half of the third. Still no score. No score. Bottom half of the third coming up. Jeff Blauser will lead it off. .214 with 12 homers this year. Here it's been plagued by injuries, a knee, a hand. And he takes a strike, 0-1. Right out to the second baseman, Jeff Kent. One gone in the bottom of the third. That'll bring up Steve Avery. Hitting .217 with a couple of home runs, and he's winning some fans back here with his pitching over the first 3 innings tonight.
I think that, and I think part of it, he is a genuine, well-liked, good person, and I think that part of that is a show of support from the people here who have enjoyed his past successes.
A ball and no strikes on Avery. In the air, left center field. That's going to roll for a while. All the way to the wall. Avery on his way to second. He's got the ball right in front of him. Sees the throw coming back and will hold up with a stand-up double. Second hit off of Bobby Jones. And Steve Avery now has a double, a triple, and 2 homers this year.
Got a fastball up out over the strike zone. That's something, if you're here at 4:45, you will see him and the other pitchers do a lot. That's when the pitcher's game is played, and Steve, one of the best hitters in that pitcher's game.
One man out with Avery down at second. Here's Polonia, who flied to left to lead off the first inning. Inside corner, 0-1.
I believe that's Avery's first double of the year, but he has a triple and a couple of homers. Pretty good slugging percentage.
.425, not bad for a pitcher, not bad for an infielder. Grounded foul to count 0-2. Now, before you get on the telephones and start calling Skip tomorrow to ask him how to figure out slugging percentage,
No, go ahead and do it.
very simple.
Don't tell him. Let him call Skip.
If you come to bat 4 times in a game and get 1 hit, your batting average is 250. If that 1 hit is a single, that's 1 base, 250. If it's a double, that's 2 bases, 500. Triple, 3 bases, 750. If it happens to be a home run, your slugging percentage is 1,000. Still 0-2.
Now they're going to have to call and ask who the leader in the clubhouse is.
That's right.
I think it's Hal Sutton.
61. It ought to be. What a round of golf he fired at the BC Open up in Endicott, New York, one of my old stopping grounds. 1 ball, 2 strikes, the count. Here's the 1-2, and the breaking ball stayed outside, 2-2. I lived up in the Binghamton area in the 60s, late 60s, Don, when the BC Open was a satellite event for the Cleveland Open. The guys that missed the cut in Cleveland would come over and play on Saturday and Sunday, a 2-round tournament. It's now become one of the better stops.
Yes, it is.
On the PGA Tour. Johnny Hart, the creator of the BC comic strip, is behind that tournament. Foul back, 2-2. One man out, a runner at second. We're in the bottom of the 3rd with no score. The 2-2 to Polonia, fouled off again. Still 2-2. This guy is a scrappy hitter, good 2-strike hitter. We've seen a lot of at-bats since he's come over to Atlanta from the Yankees, where he's gotten 2 strikes on him and does this very thing. Fouls off a lot of pitches.
Not a real complicated style of batting. He doesn't wrap it around his head. He just lays it back there. Doesn't use a real long bat, so therefore doesn't have to choke up a lot with 2 strikes. But watch him just take it to the ball.
Grounds this one. That's a fair ball. Hits the bag and kicks down the right field line. Avery around 3rd. He'll score. Polonia down to 2nd. The throw misses and goes into left field, but it's backed up by the left fielder. And it's a run-scoring double for Luis Polonia. His 2nd RBI as a Brave. 1-0 Atlanta.
Well, we talked earlier about how Steve Avery and the Braves needed some breaks. Here's one. Good curveball. Watch this hit the bag. Polonia makes that play if the ball doesn't bounce over his head. But again, just a short stroke right up over his head. Credit Damon Buford with some heads-up play in this. A lot of outfielders, especially left fielders, would have said, hey, that's not my play. Nothing I could do there. But he was perfectly in line to back that play up. That's good play from a young player. He was well taught in the minors and in college.
1 run in, a runner at 2nd. Here's Ed Giovanola flying out to center in the 1st inning. Upstairs, ball 1. In for a called strike. 1 ball, 1 strike. Got some notes here from some special Braves fans. Marjorie Weed up in Kalispell, Montana, 86 years old. Sidney Turner, a birthday today up in Nashville, Tennessee, 87 years old. And Jerry Christopherson, who assists Braves team doctor, Dr. Joe Chandler, recovering at Kennestone Hospital. Want to wish her well. 1-2 the count now on Ed Giovanola. In the air to shallow left. Buford there for the catch. 2 down. And now Chipper Jones, a strikeout victim, his first time up.
Here's a guy that's going through some adversity, Pete. Probably performance-wise, it's the first time he has faced it. certainly it's not the first time he has faced adversity, because last year spent the whole year rehabbing from that injury in spring training. He would have been the starting wherever he wanted to be last year coming out of spring training, maybe short of being on the pitching staff.
That's foul back, the count 0-1, and after checking out some of the throws he's made from third base, I'm not so sure he couldn't do that if he really wanted to. Had a good arm. 0-1 the count. Into center field. That's going to drop in for a base hit. Polonia rounds the bag, heads for home. Here comes the throw. Cut off by Brogna. Now he drops it. And down to second goes Chipper Jones. 2-0 Atlanta. Chipper drives in his 77th run of the year.
This could be a jump start for him, too. This has been a pitch he's been fouling off. That fastball up in the top of the strike zone, but not this time. Level swing. Didn't try to pull it. Drilled it into center field. Ryan Thompson may have had a shot at the plate there, but when it skipped away from Brogna, two things happened. Polonia scored, and Chipper was able to make it into second.
Fred McGriff grounded out to third, his first time up. One ball, no strikes on Fred. Braves finished off that road trip winning their last 4, including a 3-game sweep of Cincinnati. So they got another little winning streak going now. 1 ball, 1 strike. And Bobby Cox made a statement at the end of the Cincinnati series that the way the Braves played in that series didn't surprise him at all. He said, our guys just love winning. And they come to the ballpark every day, even though the division's clinched and was clinched about a week ago. They come to the ballpark every night wanting to walk out of there with a victory.
And if you have that attitude, you will never look and wonder where you are in the standings, because it really won't matter. You'll be pretty sure you'll be at the or near the top with that attitude.
2-1 now, and McGriff. That's taken high. 3-1. Fred had a good road trip. He had 368 in the trip, had 3 homers, drove in 8.
Wore out some left-handers too, didn't he?
Yes, he did.
He about 8 out of 12 against lefties.
There's your runner at second, Chipper Jones, 2 outs. And a 3-1 is taken low and inside. That is the first walk issued by Bobby Jones. It'll bring up Dwight Smith. Dwight fly to center his first time. Runners first and second, 2 down. A ball outside.
Change of speeds pitcher who can't get the change of speeds over the plate. If you're a patient hitter, eventually you'll get a fastball to hit.
Down the right field line. That's a fair ball all the way to the wall. Chipper Jones in to score. They're going to hold up McGriff at third. Run scoring double for Dwight Smith. Braves lead 3-0. RBI number 21 for Dwight Smith.
And if you're a low ball hitter, a lot of times that fastball will be right where you want it. They had shaded him a little bit away from the line. No need to put any pressure or to take a chance running McGriff. Good at bat for Dwight Smith.
Dallas Green may be checking out who is available to be a long man tonight. Mike Devereaux, the batter. He had a double in the second inning. The Mets, like so many teams now, a very crowded bullpen. A lot of players called up when the roster is expanded.
A lot of scouts that we talked to very much impressed by the bench that Bobby Cox, John Sherholtz have put together. And they think the addition of Polonia and Devereaux just laid it out perfectly. And incidentally, since the Braves got them combined, they're hitting close to 330.
There's John up in his general manager's box. 1-1 the count now on Mike Devereaux. Here's the 1-1 breaking ball, bounces up there, and the count goes to 2-1. And we're going to get some activity now out in the bullpen. That's Pete Walker beginning to throw. Here's the 2-1 to Devereaux, and that's not even close. 3-1. You got a control pitcher here, Don, that's struggling with his control. That's not good.
No, it's not. And because just as he did with Dwight Smith, sooner or later you're going to have to throw something over the plate. And if you're not getting your second and third pitches over, what you have to throw over the plate's a fastball, and it better be moving.
Here's the 3-1 and a breaking ball. And the count full 3-2 now on Devereaux.
First base open, and a rookie in the on-deck circle might have gotten him that 3-1 breaking ball.
Eddie Perez on deck.
Might get him another one, too.
Down to first with a walk goes Devereaux. Second walk of the inning and of the night, issued by Bobby Jones.
And if you're a control pitcher, Pete, that's not throwing strikes, you don't get this call. If he had been around the plate and throwing a lot of strikes, Braves may have gotten the benefit right there of his forcing Hundley to bounce all over the area to catch him.
Bases loaded, 2 outs now for Eddie Perez, who grounded out to short in the second inning. Now Jones and Hundley can't get together.
What he means right there is we're going to turn them over. We're going to go to the combination signs with a runner at second. You can see a combination of location. That's the padding inside and outside, and then the numbers.
Into left field, base hit for Perez. McGriff scores. Dwight Smith rounds third. He will score. The throw comes to third. Nobody there. Now Mike Devereaux heads for home. Here's the throw home. He's safe. All 3 runners score. And the Braves now lead it 6-0. 2 RBIs for Perez, the third run scoring on an error that'll have to be credited to Damon Buford, the left fielder who made the throw. He threw to an empty base.
Wants to get it in on him. Does it? Eddie Perez pulls it through the hole. Damon Buford did all the right things, but unfortunately he was the only one thinking that way. You saw Vizcaino, who had gone out to be the cutoff man, and he threw a ball that just one hopped right over. By the time people backing up could get to it, bases had cleared. Perez at second, and the end of the night for Bobby Jones.
The end of a short night that must have seemed quite long to Bobby Jones, trailing 6-0 early in the third inning. The new pitcher, right-hander Pete Walker, he was 5-2 at Norfolk this year, 3.91 earned run average. That's what he's done since coming up to New York. He's out of the University of Connecticut, 7th round pick back in 1990. Was a starting pitcher for the first 3 years of his career. Converted to relief back in 93 at the AA level. 6 runs are in. The 10th man to bat in the inning is Jeff Blauser. He led off the inning by grounding out the second.
It's amazing. Here are 2 ball clubs doing basically the same thing, putting a lot of young players in the major league competition in September, but for 2 entirely different reasons.
One team resting the regulars for postseason, the other team
Trying to figure out what they're going to have next year to run out there.
Meanwhile, Eddie Perez, with 2 more RBIs, has driven in 4 runs in just 7 at-bats since coming up from Richmond. The 0-1 misses low and away. 1 ball, 1 strike. Houston trying to stay close in that wild card race. They got a lot of games left for the Cubs. 7.
Cubs play them tough, though.
One ball, 1 strike on Blauser. Now Walker and Hundley need to confer.
Shortstop wants to know, because if you watch the second baseman and the shortstop, most of the time with the runner on first, though, either behind the glove he'll open his mouth or close his mouth to tell him which way they're going to go. Sometimes they'll use it to tell who's going to cover. Other times they'll use to tell him what the pitch is.
Walker's 1-1 on the way, and that caught the inside corner. 1-2. Until this year, Pete Walker, coming up to the minor league system with the Mets, had never had a winning record. His minor league records have been 5-7, 10-12, 7-12, 4-9, 2-4 last year, with a 5-2 mark this year at AAA. And that is one thing that has changed about baseball in the last 30 years. If you didn't post winning records in the minor leagues, you didn't advance. But now, if you've got the potential, and if the management thinks you've got the potential to pitch in the big leagues, it doesn't really matter that much what your record is at the A or AA level.
And if you're drafted high and you got a lot of money, that helps too, to sign.
Here's the 1-2. Got him. Fastball on the outside corner. And Walker comes in and puts out the fire, but a big inning for the Atlanta Braves. They score 6 in the bottom of the 3rd. We go to the 4th, 6-0 Atlanta. The Braves with 6 on the board in the bottom of the 3rd take a 6-run lead into the 4th inning. Let's give you tonight's Aflac trivia question before we begin the 4th. Who are the top 3 pitchers in Mets career shutouts? Top 3 pitchers in Mets career shutouts. Think about that. We'll have the answer for you in the bottom half of the inning. Right now, as we go to the 4th inning, Carl Everett leads it off for the Mets. Once again, here's Don Sutton.
All right, Pete, thank you very much. Not the way the Mets have been playing. They have won 26 out of their last 39. Good night for Steve Avery so far. A walk, a hit he's allowed. He struck out 3. First one by Everett. 0-1. Last time up, he jammed Everett on an inside fastball. Got a slow roller to 3rd. Chipper Jones threw him out. 6 runs, 6 hits for the Braves. No runs, a single base hit for the Mets. The breaking ball is fouled away. 0-2. Grandma and Grandpa Avery back in Taylor, Michigan, looking in, and Steve wants you to know he's okay. And I guess you can see by the way he's pitching tonight, he is. 1-2. You got to go back a few weeks before you find a ball game for Steve Avery that has started this well. That is where he's gone the first 3 innings and had him scoreless. Did it hit him?
Yep.
Got him on the hand. So the Mets get the leadoff guy on here in the 4th inning. Avery trying to run a fastball in on him. Looked like for a second that might have hit the knob of the bat, but I guess not.
You're right, it did look like it. But I must have gotten him on the hand.
You know, Pete, that may have hit on that bone, on your wrist bone there. If that did, that could be damaging for him. For Steve Avery, that is only the 5th guy he's hit all year. Maybe you'll remember, and I think we showed it in our open. He hit 2 out in Colorado back to back.
That's Sam McCrary, the assistant trainer for the Mets, out along with Dallas Green. Another look at it. Just kept riding in on Everett. He just couldn't get out of the way. One of those hitters that lunges a little bit toward the plate.
You can look at that front leg and see how he has himself locked there, so he wasn't able to bail out of the way. So he's at first base. Jeff Kent, the hitter, he struck out looking his first time up. 6-0 Braves, top of the 4th inning on a beautiful night here in Atlanta. The first of 4 against the Mets. The first of a final homestand of the year. Almost added insult to injury, didn't he?
Literally. He's leaning toward second. That little quick step move by Avery almost picked off another one.
That should be enough to slow him down. Let's see if Steve just kind of backs off and concentrates on the hitter. He misses low 1-0. This is a part of this is where maturing as a pitcher comes into play. Everett, obviously a guy who can steal. He's only swiped 2, though. He does have good speed, but you're up 6-0. The most important guy is the one standing at the plate, and Avery almost throws it away.
Hey, you don't want to do that. Give the other team a chance to start picking away at you. Especially a team that's been hot.
If he steals second and you get the hitter out, he's still at second. If he steals third, you get the hitter out. Unless it's a fly ball, he's still at third. Could be 2. Blauser to Giovanola. Giovanola from first. Pitcher's best friend. And Ed Giovanola might have gotten upended at second.
Oh, he got upended big time. Shows you a little bit of his toughness. He got the award down to Richmond this year for being the most competitive. And you got to be a tough little player to win that award.
And he proved it right there. Remember we were telling you earlier in the ballgame about what Steve Avery needed tonight was some things to go right for him and some breaks. There obviously is one as Rico Brogna stands in, the first one upstairs. But this is going a little against the grain. A ground ball double play. How many times do you think that's happened for Steve Avery this year? That's only 6. So he got a break when he needed it, and this could be an omen of good things to come. He does fall behind Brogna 2-0. In the air to center field. Over toward left center where Devereaux's got a bead on it. And after hitting the leadoff man, Avery settles down. Gets him the rest of the way thanks to a 6-4-3 double play. We move to the bottom of the 4th, 6-0 Braves.
Six 0 Atlanta leading the New York Mets. We're going to the bottom half of the 4th inning. Let's answer tonight's Aflac trivia question. Who are the top 3 pitchers in Mets career shutouts? And here they are. Tom Seaver. Did you know, though, that John Matlack was tied with Jerry Koosman for second on that list? A lot of people forget about him when you talk about great Mets pitchers in the past.
I had a feeling that 2 of them were ho-hummers that you would think about, but I had forgotten about John Matlack. To the bottom of the 4th, Steve Avery will lead it off. He got a double with 1 out back last inning when the Braves sent 10 men to the plate, scored the first run. Fouls the first pitch out of play, and it's 0-1. Avery's average up now to .234, 11 hits. Toward second, Kent is there. Avery's hustling though. You don't see a lot of pitchers make that play as tough as it was. Good play by Jeff Kent. 1 gone.
Another look at it and watch him take off. This little chopper toward second, knows he's got a chance for a base hit. We've told you about the hitting contest between the starting pitchers. Well, Steve Avery going into that at bat was hitting .234 for the season. Tom Glavine .233. So they're going neck and neck, and down the stretch they come for the final 2 weeks of the season. So who's going to win it?
Luis Polonia will bat with 1 out, takes the first one upstairs. With that base hit with the double he got, Avery now trails Glavine by 3, 14 hits to 11. 1-0 to Polonia. That's down low. It's 2-0. A fly to left, a double, an RBI, and he scored a run. Here's a strike. To left field, hit pretty well. Damon Buford's got a beat on it. 2 outs. And that'll bring up Ed Giovanola looking for his first hit. He is 0 for 8 since being called up from Richmond. But I'm glad we had that shot at second, and you told him about the award he won down at Richmond.
The Clint Courtney Award, named after the late Clint Courtney, who managed that team for so many years.
He is a competitive young man. Good breaking ball to start him off, and it's 0-1. Walker, second pitcher of the night. Jones went 2 2/3 innings, gave up 6 hits. All of the runs were charged to him. In the air, shallow left. Another chance for Damon Buford. And a good inning for Walker. Braves go quietly. 1, 2, 3, 4 in the books. It's 6-0 Braves. Big smile on Chipper Jones's face. Maybe he was looking into the stands, where we do find out that one member of the family is a good fielder. The other one, that's Karen Jones, Chipper's wife. She will kill us all. Unley to lead it off. There's strike 1 from Avery.
Members of the Jones family, please send all correspondence to Don Sutton in care of TBS.
That's inside 1-1. I didn't take the picture. We might start that. Perfect pitch. 1-2. I'll tell you, they are 2 of the neatest young people I have ever seen come to the big leagues. In the air. Chance for Polonia. He's got a beat on this one. This time he doesn't have to die. 1 out in the top of the 5th inning. Pete Van Wieren, Don Sutton with you for 2 more outs. Then Skip Gary and Joe Simpson will take you the rest of the way. 6-0 Braves. And a good outing for Steve Avery, with a number of his regulars, including those 2 right there, who make up 2/3 of the outfield and the bulk of the offense. Getting a crash course from Clarence Jones. Husky, who flied to center his first time up, takes ball 1. Off the end of the bat, that's headed for the Braves bullpen. 1 ball, 1 strike. Pete, I'd be very surprised tonight if Steve Avery goes longer than 5 or 6, especially having accomplished what he's done to this point.
Yeah, this game meant strictly as a confidence builder for him.
And he's got himself a 10-meter diving board to come off of now. Chance for Blauser. Husky runs well for a Husky fellow. 2 outs. A little bit more relaxed than what we saw in Colorado. I know he has put in a lot of overtime with Steve Avery, and he sweated a lot of bullets. I think the only thing, well, Notre Dame getting beat by Northwestern didn't bother him quite as much as, yes, it did.
Yes,
I'm
it
sorry.
did.
Who am I kidding?
But he did admit the day the division was clinched, he said that we still have one major thing we've got to get right, and that's Steve Avery. We've got to get him turned around so he's pitching the way we know he can come postseason.
First pitch to Thompson upstairs, and it's 1-0. Last time up, jammed him, got a grounder to short. Threw him a couple of breaking balls, but ran a fastball right in on his fist. Good changeup. Avery's in a groove. 1 ball, 1 strike. Sure is a lot more fun when you're winning, isn't it? Make it 1-2. Pete, there was some pretty good defense sitting in that corner, wasn't there?
I'll say, with Mark Lemke, and a pretty good bat for Mark Lemke. Notice he's working with the bat instead of the glove right now. He's got a 13-game hitting streak, a career high. And Rafael Belliard and Charlie O'Brien talk about being strong up the middle.
Yes. 1-2 pitch to Thompson. Upstairs, 2-2. See, they're trying to get him to chase breaking stuff out of the strike zone, but running the fastball upstairs on him. So good numbers for Steve Avery. That'll do it. Strikeout number 4, a 1-2-3 inning for Avery. He has set down 11 of the last 12 that he has faced. We're halfway home. It's 6-0 Braves.
Well, the Braves had a big bottom half of the third inning, scored all their runs. They've given Steve Avery a little cushion, and we're back over here with you on TV. Joe Simpson along with Skip Carey. Nice to see Steve Avery in the ballpark tonight.
Boy, it sure is, and still in the ballpark and still out on the field. That's the good news.
He has pitched terrific baseball tonight, like the old Steve. And there's Chipper Jones sending one deep to right field in the first pitch of the fifth. Gone. Home run number 21 for Chipper. And wife Karen, spilled drink and all, can celebrate. Chipper can celebrate a little bit too. He's been in a bit of a slump, but he's 2 for 3 tonight. It's also his 78th RBI of the year.
Another look. Breaking ball. He went down and got it. Didn't get it down as much as he wanted to. By the way, that miscue by his wife has scored an E5W.
McGriff, first pitch swinging, sends one out to Jeff Kent, one out. Chipper got a day off yesterday in Cincinnati, and he's come back strong tonight. Dwight Smith 1 for 2 with a double. He has driven in a run. Bobby Jones lasted only 2 2/3 innings, gave up 6 runs, 5 were earned. One and one to Dwight Smith. It's good to see all these guys that are getting a chance to play have some fun.
That's right, Joe.
Everybody's up there aggressive. You are outstanding.
I'll do what we can. Whatever it takes.
Dwight didn't like the last call. 1-2.
Singing, "You're driving me crazy." The home plate.
I'm sure it sounds good if he is. Frank Foltz telling Tom Glavine how much stronger he's gotten since that weight program that Frank put him on. That's foul. 2-2.
You ever spent any time talking to him? Boy, he is funny.
Frank is.
He got that double talk down, and
He's outstanding.
he's a good guy. Good man to have around.
Players all really like him too. Full count now to Dwight Smith. Walker's payoff pitch. Hit hard. Jeff Kent with a late start. He looked like he was spinning his wheels out there at second base. And Dwight Smith has his second hit.
Another look. Yeah, I think Mark Lemke gets to this ball, for example. But Kent could not. But then he hits you 20-25 home runs a year, too, so I guess it all shakes out pretty even.
Mike Devereaux has had a good night. He has doubled, walked, scored a run. Just missed a homer his first time up. Slider misses 1-0. Another slider, and that's a better pitch. And Devereaux can't lay off of it. It's 1-1.
Well, I read here where Major League Baseball has announced the appointment of Randy Levine, or Levine, I don't know which, as chief labor negotiator.
Fastball strike, 1-2.
I don't know the gentleman. I wish him luck, but I sure wish that the players and the owners themselves would sit down and work this out. I think it's the best way to get it solved. Get all the lawyers and the professionals out of it.
I agree with you. Both sides. Devereaux down on strikes. And that is the second strikeout registered by Pete Walker. Both looking. Eddie Perez singled, drove in 2 runs in the third inning. He created kind of a merry-go-round. Bases were loaded, and Damon Buford came up throwing on the base hit, but through to third, and there was nobody there.
Big news from the NFL tonight, too.
What's that?
NFL Properties today filed a $300 million lawsuit against Texas Stadium, the Dallas Cowboys, and owner Jerry Jones in response to his sponsorship deals with Nike and Pepsi. Ooh. Federal District Court. Suit asks to order the defendants to stop violating their agreements with NFL Properties regarding club marks and logos.
Going to mess with the salary cap a little bit for a minute. $300 million. Easy play for Vizcaino to Kent to end the inning. Braves get a run on the home run by Chipper Jones leading off the bottom half of the fifth. We go to the sixth and the Braves are on top 7-0.
Time for your Budweiser game summary as we're about to go to the sixth inning. Steve Avery pitching extremely well. Eddie Perez another clutch 2-run hit. And here's Joe.
And a change at first base. Slugging infielder Mike Mordecai comes in to take over for Fred McGriff at first. Had a big night last night with a double and a homer at Cincinnati. Avery delivers to Alex Ochoa, who was pinch hitting for Walker. This guy was the key ingredient to that deal for Bobby Bonilla. A highly prized prospect in the Orioles organization. They didn't want to part with him, and the Mets wouldn't make the deal until they got him. Congratulations to Joe McIlvaine and the Mets, because this guy is supposed to be a pretty good player. .276 at Rochester with 8 homers. After traded to Norfolk, he had .309, 2 more homers and 15 RBIs to give him 61 on the year, and he stole 24 bases total. 2-2 from Avery. Hit hard past Mordecai, base hit. Ochoa leads off the 6th inning with a pinch hit single. And the other part of that Oriole deal, Damon Buford steps up. Buford tonight has walked and grounded out. For Ochoa, that was his first big league at bat and hit. And Damon Buford drops down what he hopes is a bunt single, but a nice play by Eddie Giovanola. Barehanded grab and made the throw all in one motion. Nice play. I'm sure Buford's tried that on Giovanola before down in the International League.
And a good stretch by Mordecai as well. I doubt that they give him a sacrifice there. They shouldn't, I don't think. Down 7 runs. He was bunting for a hit.
I would agree with you. Bunting for a hit all the way. Here's Jose Vizcaino. 0 for 2. Ooh, look out. That's one of those that kind of tricks you when you're in the dugout, because Vizcaino's looking one way and he hits it the other. And David really doesn't know how to get out of a way of a ball in the dugout, does he? He gets too many opportunities.
Much experience, no.
Back to the screen this time, 0-2. He's looking for some other place he can hide. Had a shot of him earlier. Ian Marquis standing next to Clarence Jones. I bet they are driving CJ crazy tonight. Fun at the old ballpark. Vizcaino, a little one-hop flare. Giovanola runs it down. Has to wait for Avery to get there, but they don't get him. Steve got a late break, and by the time Giovanola got set, he really got to his feet quickly, but had to wait for somebody to throw to.
Yeah, and Mike Mordecai's not used to playing over there. He's used to going after anything he can get, and he gets caught in no man's land. And after that, Giovanola had to wait to figure out who was going to get there first.
Yeah, and in defense of Steve, too, I think he probably would have been there, but Mordecai was a little bit in the way of the throw.
That's why you saw the little double clutch there before he threw it.
And it'll go as a base hit. Runners at the corners and one out for Carl Everett, switch hitter. Off the end of the bat, they'll have to hurry. Everett can run, and he's able to beat the relay to first, and the Mets are on the board with a run. Mordecai tried to stretch out there, but the ball was hit too slowly, and Everett has the RBI, his 47th of the year.
That's right. He made too good a pitch on him. If he hits that a little harder, it's an easy double play. And the call is the correct one, as you see.
Seven to 1 Atlanta. Jeff Kent has struck out, bounced into a double play. Kent 3 for 21 lifetime against Avery. Speaking of having fun at the ballpark, Steve Avery's got to be having a little more enjoyment tonight. Even though he's allowed to run here this inning, this is a big step forward for him the way he's worked tonight. Fastball hit to right, but playable for Dwight Smith. And Kent is retired for the third time. The Mets are on the board. They get a run on 2 hits. They strand one. We go to the bottom of the 6th. 7-1 Braves. Some changes as we go to the bottom half of the 6th inning. Braves on top 7-1. Alex Ochoa stays in the ballgame to play right field. The new shortstop will be Tim Bogar. And coming on to pitch and making his major league debut, Robert Person. Person was 7-5 combined at AA and AAA with the AAA Norfolk Ball Club that won the International League Championship. He was 2-1, had a 4.5 ERA. 4 starts in 5 appearances, 32 innings, 13 walks, 33 strikeouts. And he will face the bottom part of the Braves batting order, Blauser, Avery, and then back to the top of the order in Polonia. Robert Person, 5'11", 180. 25 years old, will be 26 next month. Lives in St. Louis, Missouri.
Out of Seminole Junior College in your part of the world, down in Oklahoma.
Boy, they can put together some pretty good junior college baseball teams at Seminole Junior College. The Mets got him from Florida. The right-handed pitcher Steve Long on April 1st of '94. Blauser swings at the first pitch and fouls it back out of play. This guy's always been a strikeout pitcher. Last year at Binghamton, he was working in 159 innings, 130 strikeouts. That's been pretty much his history throughout his career. Good fastball, threw it by him. 0-2. Well, the Mets have put together some pretty good list of pitchers. Another good fastball. Blauser's on that one, though, but sends it right to Ryan Thompson in center field. 1 out. Jeff 0 for 3, and that'll bring up Avery, who has doubled in 2 trips and has raised his average a little bit.
The good Braves fans have really hung with Avery through this bad stretch. He's heard very little, certainly no booing tonight, but even when he was getting rocked, very little. And after the strike, fans' patience normally quite short.
Big swing of the fastball, comes up empty. I think fans think of Steve Avery as one of their own children in a way. I mean, he was so young when he first came up. They empathized with his struggles this year. They all wanted him to get better. Out behind third base, shallow left field. That's Bogar with his first chance. 2 down. And by and large, most Braves fans want all their guys to do well. Luis Polonia has a double off the first base bag. He's 1 for 3 and has driven in a run.
They're in the bottom of the 7th now. Kansas City 16, Minnesota 5. That's the first of 2.
Fastball misses, 1-0. Yeah, in the American League last trip in, there is no curfew, so they'll be playing a while.
Do you like that curfew thing?
Yeah, I did. I really did, because it can save you a little bit if you get into 17, 18 type innings types of games.
It's another thing where the leagues have really cross purposes.
2-1 pitch, a little low. It's 3-1. Well, I understand that the American League owners right now, at least from what I read, that they're split now on the DH.
Right down the middle.
Whether to keep it or let it go. Deep to left center. Back goes Thompson on the track. He runs out of room and has just enough room to make the catch. Polonia gives it a ride. The Braves go in order. And we head to the 7th inning of play here in Atlanta with the Braves on top, 7-1. Six innings in the books, and the Braves are on top, 7-1. Steve Avery has a nifty little 3-hitter working, and he faces Rico Brogna, Todd Hundley, and Butch Husky as we go to the 7th. Here's Skip.
Okay, Joe, thanks very much. The crowd are happy when Braves with a big lead. And Rico Brogna has lined to left and flied to center. Mark Grace is homered, but Houston still leads the Cubs 2-1. Upstairs to Brogna, 1 ball, no strikes.
Well, how about the return of Gary Sheffield?
Oh, he's doing it, isn't he?
Outstanding.
Check swing, roller to third, chipper up. 1 away. Chipper didn't drop it or spill it. He just fielded it and threw it to first. 1 down. Todd Hundley, the batter.
How's Karin doing now?
She's not going to be too mad at Glenn Diamond this year.
No. It's like she's going to
I thought it was sort of a heartless thing to do to show
swear off any more
Could have
soft
happened.
drinks.
Could have happened to anybody. Fastball strike, 0-1.
No more soft drinks for Karin tonight.
Avery into the line. Hundley has a hit tonight, a ground ball up the middle. He's also fly to left. One and 2 the count. Mr. Avery looks like the Steve Avery of old.
And you know what? He's working fast tonight, but not in that furor that he's been in the past few weeks.
Hundley didn't think so, but he's out of there. Well, I said that a couple, not that I know anything. I've proven that for 20 years, but I thought he was rushing it too much myself.
I think at times when he got in trouble, he would get his sign too quick and rush through things without really concentrating on where he wanted the pitch to go. And he got the benefit of the doubt of that pitch, just on or a little off the corner.
This guy is aptly named Butch Husky, 245-pound third baseman.
He looks in better shape than we've seen him the last couple of years, though. You remember seeing him last year during the strike? We went down and covered a game between the Richmond Ball Club and Norfolk.
Of course, I always admire a guy who
Fills out his uni.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I understand.
Pop foul back into the upper deck. 2 balls and a strike.
Is that how you got the nickname Skippy?
No, that was from peanut butter.
That's what I mean.
No. It was never Skippy.
Oh,
And let's not start now either. 2 balls, 2 strikes. High fastball. Blew him away. 6 strikeouts. Avery is doing it. Bottom of the 7th. 7-1 Atlanta. We go to the bottom half of the 7th inning. Ed Giovanola will lead it off, looking for his first hit in the major league. You saw that chiropractic T-shirt. I was happy our friend Dr. Sid Williams threw out the first ball. Didn't throw his back out or anything.
That was good.
Did fine. Bounced it up there. Did Person. 1 ball, no strikes.
I've got a good chiropractor. I could send him right over to Linda. Of course, he's the one that taught her.
Yeah, that's right. They are good. They can help you out, boy. A little looper foul down the third base line. A ball and a strike.
Giovanola led the International League in on-base percentage. Over 400 average in that stat. That's outstanding. He'd like to get that first hit right here, though.
Strike called, 1-2. Well, he's facing a guy he faced earlier this year. A ball and 2 strikes. Count stays the same. Be with you at 7:35 tomorrow night when Jason Schmidt pitches against Dave Malicki. Then Wednesday, John Smoltz against Jason Isringhausen. That's a Sports South game, I believe. There it is. His first hit. Giovanola turned on it and hit a solid single to right field and into the trophy case. That one will go. Pat Corrales has the ball. And into the dugout it goes.
And the crowd gives him a good hand, too. Everybody knows that's his first hit, and he gets a congratulations from Pat Corrales, too.
And Charlie O'Brien got the ball and is letting Giovanola know it's going to cost him big time to get it back. Here's Chipper. Out in front, foul tips it. Baltimore hammering Detroit tonight, 6-1. They're in the 8th. Mike Mordecai waits on deck. Upstairs to Chipper. Another off-speed pitch victimizes him. 1-2 to count. Reds now 4-3 over Montreal. They're in the bottom of the 6th. We'll have all the scores for you on the Delta scoreboard in just a few minutes. High chopper over the mound might be a tough play. Kent gets there in time, throws him up. Giovanola moves to second. So 1 away, and Mike Mordecai, the batter, a double and a homer last night in Cincy.
Charlie O'Brien with that baseball of Giovanola's. He might be thinking about his first hit. It came in 1987 as a member of the Milwaukee Brewers. And I'm sure, like most of us, he can remember all the details about his first hit, too.
Think he beat out a bunt, maybe?
Probably not.
I don't think so. Mordecai takes high and outside. 1 ball, no strikes. High pop, short right field. Kent goes out. Ochoa comes in and he will make the catch. 2 down. Dwight Smith, the batter. He has doubled in a run. He's also singled 2 out of 3. He scored a run. Braves got 6 in the 3rd on 5 hits, couple walks. 5 of those runs scored with 2 out, and 5 of the runs were earned. Runner at second, 2 down. Robert Person delivers a little low. 1 ball, no strikes.
Dwight hit a pretty good pitch for that double, too. A pitch down and in, and went down and got it against Bobby Jones. Excellent swing.
One and 1 the count.
Tell you, if this guy can throw that changeup near the plate with his good fastball, he can be very tough on you. His fastball has some good velocity.
One and 2 the count to Dwight. In Houston, it's still 2-1 Houston over the Cubs in the 5th. Good pitch. Fly ball down the left side, twisting foul, and out of play. Buford gives it a look, but he's got no shot. And it lands in a nest of chiropractors down there, and they all battle for the souvenir.
Speaking of getting well, one of our favorites over in the Braves front office, Amy Richter, wants to send get well greetings to her grandmother, Blanche Beyer, up in Oak Ridge, Tennessee. She never misses a Braves game, and we join her in wishing her well on her recovery.
Fouled it back. Some athletes don't want to be role models, but Dwight Smith sees it as his duty. Find out more about this pinch hitting specialist in this month's Chop Talk. Subscribe now to the Braves official magazine, 1-800-700-CHOP. The stretch. The 1-2 to Dwight. Got him with an off-speed pitch. But you can read about him anyway. He's still 2 for 4 in the game tonight. Nothing doing in the 7th. 1 hit, no runs, no errors. And 1 left at the end of 7. Braves lead at 7-1.
It's the 8th inning, and we'll run through the scores on the Delta scoreboard for you. Cincinnati against Montreal, a good ball game there. Benitez and White have homered for the Expos.
Thompson sends a fly ball to center field. Devereaux drifts back, has room on the track.
Other games, you saw the St. Louis-Pittsburgh score. Florida at Philadelphia. Sheffield and Charles Johnson have homered there. Martin Grace has homered for the Cubs. As Skip told you, they go to the bottom of the 5th at Houston. Colorado at San Diego later on. The American League, first of 2. Minnesota has a run in the top of the 9th, but it's going to take a lot more than that. Baltimore's at Detroit. Baltimore's gotten 4 in the 8th. Bonilla's hit his 9th homer of the year. Milwaukee at Boston. Home runs for Valentin. And Toronto's at New York. No score. Ware against Cone. Cleveland at Chicago. Albert Bell has hit his 40th homer of the year in support of Ken Hill. Texas at Seattle later on with big wild card implications there.
Alex Ochoa is the batter. He singled on his first major league at bat. But he's in the hole this time, 0-2. A little bit outside. This kid's out of Florida. His parents made the trip from Cuba to our shores, but Alex was born here. Fouled off at home plate.
Supposed to have a real good throwing arm too.
Just 23 years old. He's a highly regarded prospect. Hits it the other way, but foul. He singled to right field on his first trip in this game. $29,635. The paid attendance here. There are not that many at the park. Ochoa strikes out. Avery continues his good work. He is pitching in dominating fashion tonight. That's his 7th strikeout.
His strikeout high for the year was 10 back on May 31st against the Chicago Cubs. His last complete game, June 27th. And he has had a very good fastball and a good breaking ball to the right-handers down and in that has looked sharp tonight.
Fastball high, 1 ball, no strikes. So the piece is really fitting together for the Atlanta team right now. The 1-0 pitch. It's inside. 7-9-0 for the Braves. 1-3-1 for the Mets. A little high. 3-0.
Couldn't come at a better time. I think Bobby Cox pretty much counting on Maddox, Glavine, and Smoltz as his first 3 in the playoffs, but the longer you go in the playoffs, the more you need a 4th starter, and they were sure hoping Steve Avery could step back up to the plate and pitch like they know he's capable.
Ball 4. That's his 2nd walk. Tim Bogar will be the batter. This makes his next start all the more important. See if he can put 2 in a row back to back. Bogar hitting .285 with a homer and 17 RBI. I think he hit that home run against us here earlier in the year, if I'm not mistaken.
They have played the Braves tough.
3-3 coming in. They played everybody tough. Second half. Line drive right field, base hit. Smith over to get it. Ochoa motors on over to third. They're on the corners with 2 away. See if that gets the Braves bullpen busy.
Steve has fired a shutout this year. That came early also back on May 19th against the Florida Marlins here. With a good looking hitter, Edgardo Alfonzo. It's going to pinch hit. He's been on the disabled list with a herniated disc in his back. And anybody, maybe we could set him up with Dr. Sid.
I don't know if they help that, but you're right. He's a good looking young hitting prospect. 2 on, 2 out here. Threw the fastball by him upstairs. 0-1. Jason Schmidt, Dave Malicki tomorrow night. Oh, and 2.
Good fastball. We're in the 8th inning. That had something on it. He has spotted his fastball well, and he's had something on it tonight. He's had a good curveball.
Just missed. Looks like Blas Minor will come on to pitch in the bottom half of the inning for the Mets. Goodbye. Strikeout number 8. In their last 30 innings pitched, Atlanta starters have given up just 3 earned runs. We'll be back right after this.
Atlanta Braves baseball, brought to you by Honda, the inventor of all-terrain vehicles, and by Budweiser, the king of beers.
Bottom half of the 8th inning. Kansas City pounded out 20 hits tonight, beat Minnesota 16-7, first game of 2. Boston lost to Milwaukee 6-1. Their magic number is still 2. Tim Wakefield got roughed up. He's now 16-5. Mike Devereaux will lead things off here against Blas Minor as we go to the bottom of the 8th. Devereaux, Perez, and Blauser. A strike to Mike, who was doubled, walked and scored, and struck out. And he's quickly in the hole. 0-2. Minor pitching in his 33rd game. He's 3-2, a 4.01 on run average. He does have 1 save. Former Pirate performer. Laid off a breaking ball.
When their young pitchers have faltered here over the last few weeks, the bullpen has stepped in and done the job. They have an ERA collectively of 1.91 over their last 37 games. Had some trouble early on. John Franco had a few blown saves, but everybody has pitched in of late.
You know, speaking of the Pirates, looking more and more like they may be elsewhere next year. That would be a shame, but
boy, big day tomorrow in Seattle too.
That's right. The vote's tomorrow.
Vote is tomorrow on a potential sales tax increase that would fund a new stadium, and everybody talking like if that doesn't happen, the Mariners might be gone also.
Devereaux's gone as well. Minor strikes out the first man he faces. 1 away, and Eddie Perez, the batter, another 2-run hit for him tonight. He's 1 out of 3.
Has to make you feel good when you make your first start in the big leagues, as Eddie Perez did in Cincinnati, catching John Smoltz, and have him say, felt like I was throwing to a 10-year veteran.
Well, let's face it too, with Steve Avery, he's been very particular about who caught him all year. Charlie O'Brien did. And I'm not blaming Charlie for his problems, because Steve's the guy that makes the pitches, but it's certain that Perez didn't hurt him tonight. 2 down.
Always talking about what's going on the bench. Anytime there's a discussion like that, And most often it's baseball. You can generally find Greg Maddux in the middle of it.
Blauser is 0 for 3. His average .213.
He got off to a pretty good start after getting back in the lineup. Hit a home run and a double, but he's 0 for his last 12.
It's just been an awful year for him. Hit that ball pretty well, though. Let's see if Thompson can get there. Shot on the track. He's got it. The inning is over. Nothing doing in the 8th for Atlanta. Minor gets him 1-2-3. Steve Avery pitches on to the 9th, leading it 7-1. We go to the 9th inning. Jeff Kent leads things off. Steve Avery going for the complete game. The bullpen has not stirred, but they're beginning to move around now. Steve has been brilliant. And you might be saying, if you haven't been keeping close attention lately, yeah, but it's just the Mets. Hey, the Mets have been a very, very good team this second half of the season.
That is correct. They just swept the Phillies. They've won 20 of their last 30 games and 5 in a row.
Kent stands in there and takes a strike on the corner. It's 0-1.
And you could say also, why didn't they take him out in the 7th inning? You know, he had a good ball game. Let him build on that. But I think this is a good idea if he can finish it off. Really something for him to build on, and a bit of a milestone if he can get the complete game.
And it's a cool night, and he's been in no trouble. They've got McMichael up now. If he gets in trouble, it's still a positive evening. You give up 1 run in 8 innings in this league, you've done a heck of a job. Threw it right by him. That's good news. A ball and 2 strikes.
After that awful start in Colorado, I went up to Leo Mazzoni the next day, and I said, you know, that was something watching you on the mound when you went out to talk to Steve. And I said something about from our perspective on TV about the interplay being kind of fun. And he said, oh, there's nothing fun about that. And I said, well, don't misunderstand me. He said, when I went out there, that was one of the hardest things to do. And he said it was very volatile, to say the least, but frustrating too.
If the pitchers didn't care and the pitching coach didn't care, we'd be in a lot of trouble. High pop, that'll reach the seats. Right behind the Atlanta dugout. Still a ball and 2 strikes.
I think Steve would be the first to admit, Skip, that after that outing there was nowhere to go but up.
That's right.
I think he really bottomed out there.
I'll say this for him, though, he's been sort of quiet, as you would be when you're struggling through all this, but he doesn't run and hide, you know.
No.
And he doesn't alibi either. He's admitted that he's had his problems. 2 balls, 2 strikes. No problems tonight, though. Foul to the screen, still 2-2.
And while he's only 25 years old, let's also remember that he's had a lot of growing up to do in the last 2 years, off the field and now on the field, as far as dealing with troubles and a lot of weight being on your shoulders. Everything certainly good at home, though, with son Evan healthy.
Kent keeps wasting them, still 2-2.
Yeah, that's still pretty good fastball in the 9th.
Kent has struck out, looking, hit into a double play. 6-4-3 and fly to right. You're right, Avery has slowed it down just a little bit. I think that helps him too. Full count, 3-2. The Mets tonight 2 out of 12 with runners in scoring position, by the way. High fly ball. That should be the first one. Dwight Smith makes the catch, 1 away. The bat winds up almost hitting Frank Howard, the first base coach. Kent doesn't want to do that one, doesn't want to make him mad.
No, sir. Not Big Hondo. One of the things that Steve would do when he'd get in trouble or get into a 3-2 count of late, he'd throw a lot of fastballs right down the middle of the plate. Tonight he's thrown more breaking balls in that situation, and it has been a good out pitch for him. He's not trying to overpower anybody with it. Just throw a pitch around the plate with a breaking ball, as was that was the case there with Kent.
Brogna hits one hard to center field. Back goes Devereaux on the track. He's got room. 2 out. Tell you what, that Brogna swings the bat pretty well against left-handers. I don't recall that early in the year. He looked sort of overmatched against him.
As I recall, when we went into New York, he was given a start against one of our left-handed starters just to see, and he did not look very good. But he's been on such a tear, I don't think it matters which side they throw from.
They're on their feet here as Avery tries to close the deal against Todd Hundley. High pop foul. Let's see if Mordecai has a chance. Near the dugout. He's got it. And the ball game is over. And Avery breezes. He does it in 2 hours and 4 minutes. And the Braves interrupt a 5-game winning streak by the Mets and increase their own streak to 5 with a 7-1 victory over the New York team.
And what a good look on his face, too. And that game came to an end. Our AutoZone player of the game, of course, is Steve Avery. His 3rd complete game of the year. 2 walks, 8 strikeouts, and the complete game effort definitely puts a smile on his face. And I think those of his teammates, too, who had a lot of concerns about his results of late.
In the other baseball, Cincinnati leads Montreal 4-3. That's at the end of 6.5. Pete Shurik winning again. St. Louis now 4-2 over Pittsburgh. That's at the end of 7. Gary Sheffield has hit a home run. So has Charles Johnson. But Florida and Philadelphia are tied 6-6. It is 3-1. Houston over Chicago after 5.5. Mark Grace has a home run. Colorado and San Diego play later in the American League. Kansas City over Minnesota 16-7 in the first of 2. Baltimore leads Detroit 6-2 in the 9th. Milwaukee defeated Boston 6-1. Their magic number is still 2. Toronto and New York scoreless after 6. Cleveland 7, Chicago 1 after 4.5, and the other action is later on. And Steve Avery has been kind enough to join us down on the field. Steve, it's Skip and Joe upstairs. Congratulations. That had to feel good. It's been a while.
Yeah, I mean, it was a real good feeling out there. I don't know if I've ever wanted to finish a game more than tonight, and I was just happy to finally go out and pitch well.
What's the difference? Can you pinpoint why, after you struggled, things went so well tonight?
Just getting off to a good start. You know, I've had so many rough first or second innings and putting our team in the hole, and you know, it's just no fun for the rest of the guys who have to come from behind all the time. And I just tried to really concentrate out there on every pitch, and you know, just went right after them.
Steve, this is Joe. 2 things that I noticed tonight. Number one, you're really spotting your fastball well. You're moving it in and out. And the fact that, to me, it appeared that you weren't working as fast tonight. You slowed yourself down some, maybe to concentrate a little more. Did that help?
Yeah, I got some good advice from a friend of mine, and just tried to slow myself down a little bit and maybe take a deep breath in between. And really, my stuff wasn't any better tonight. It was just a matter of, like you said, spot my fastball a little better and being aggressive and you know, just staying under control.
What about Eddie Perez? You're throwing to him for the first time. John Smoltz raved about him in Cincinnati. What were your thoughts tonight about throwing to Eddie?
I liked it, man. He did a great job back there. You know, Charlie's one of the best in the game too, and I don't want it to seem like I went out there and threw one of my better games this year with Eddie because Charlie wasn't out there. But Eddie did a great job behind the plate and got a big hit for us. And you know, all the young guys that have come up have done the job, and it just seemed to have been that way for the last 4 or 5 years.
Okay, go ice yourself down, Steve. Congratulations. Keep it up, buddy.
All right, thank you.
Nice going.
That's Steve Avery, and we'll be back with the totals and highlights here from the stadium right after this.
Atlanta Braves baseball, brought to you by Delta Airlines, the official airline of the 1996 Olympic Games. And by Aflac, covering the unexpected cost of getting well. Aflac, insuring over 38 million people worldwide.
The Braves have now won 5 in a row. They snapped the Mets' 5-game winning streak, and the Braves open up their last homestand of the year with a 7-1 win. 7 runs, 9 hits, no errors, 4 men left on base for the Braves. The Mets stranded 5 runners. Avery with his 7th win of the year. Bobby Jones's record is even out 9-9. 29,656 here at the stadium tonight in a game that only took 2 hours and 4 minutes. How about that?
I like it a lot, especially the 7-1 part. Tomorrow night it will be Jason Schmidt against Dave Malicki. We'll have that one for you at 7:35 on TBS. Again, we play the Mets. Coming up next, Andy Griffith in Matlock, the evening news. For Joe Simpson, for Pete Van Weer and Don Sutton, our entire TBS crew, Skip Carey from the ballpark. See you tomorrow. So long, everybody.